Afternoon, good evening, and good morning to some part of the world. My name is Prashant Nair, and we are back with another edition of the FIIOB podcast. Before I actually introduce my panel, I would just like to remind you that please subscribe to our channel, click on the bell icon so that you can follow regular and live content. Apart from that, also follow our FIIOB TV, where you can watch and follow some of the matches which we play. I think the last match we played was against TCS, and we absolutely thrashed them 6-2. There's some different joy when you do something like 6-2, because me being a United fan, that scoreline reminds me a lot of nice memories. But before I go into my United rant, etc., etc., today's topic is very special because I haven't seen a La Liga race which is as exciting as what this is going to be this year specifically. Usually, La Liga is going to be a 2 or a 3 horse race, but not this close. This is weirdly close because I'll before I introduce my fan, let me introduce the context as well. So Soumya is a Barcelona fan. Most Barcelona fans were thinking that, you know what, at the end of the year, if Ronald Koeman survives, okay, but Messi should stay. And if nothing happens, Ronald Koeman should just get lost from this club. Whatever will happen, we'll see. But suddenly, Barcelona have come into the title race. Yesterday, they let go of a chance where they could have gone on top of the table. But that's what Barcelona fans' mentality is right now, that, you know what, we still have a shot at the title. And on the other side is Rajdeep, who's a Real Madrid fan, who might be thinking Champions League bhi hai. There is one leg left at Chelsea who are knocking on the doors. And suddenly Atletico have done what they usually don't do, which is bottle. And we have a shot at the title. Players are coming back on, from their regular injuries to coming back to fitness. They have a shot at the title. And I have Naba, who I think would be the saddest amongst all these people around, because at one point of time, Atletico Madrid were 11 points ahead with a game in hand. So I'm virtually considering 14 points. They just did a Brendan Rodgers led Leicester or a Kevin Keegan led Newcastle, bottling 14 points. And out of nowhere, there is another team by the name Sevilla who has got into the top four race, and they have a shot at the title. It is not even funny what I'm trying to tell you. So if I go by the point table, Atletico Madrid have 73 points. Real Madrid have 71. Barcelona have 71. Sevilla has 70. And all of them have played 33 games each. Which means if Atletico bottle, or let's say, I'll not use the word bottle again, if Atletico lose one game, Real or Barcelona win, they are going top of the table. One of them will go, of course, go top of the table. I think Madrid will go top of the table because of higher goals scored, thanks to some other Vinicius and Karim Benzema and all those guys. But it's going to be an interesting race. But before I actually go to you individually, let me first go to Nava. Nava, I'll be very honest with you, right? When Atletico started the season, everyone was like, this is not Diego Simeone's Atletico. They are playing some different brand of football. Apparently, a club who thought that Luis Suarez was a bit old, we can't agree to the contract. He's asking a little too much money. Everyone's lost. You made sure that Luis Suarez was your gain. And suddenly, that 11 points, okay, I'll not call 14. That 11 point is not visible. Now it is looking like, bhai, kaise to bhi jeet jao, title leke aao. Because every other competition, you're out. Only thing which is left right now is the La Liga. What exactly happened to Atletico Madrid?
For the most part, I think we have only ourselves to blame. To start with Suarez, I think both my other parts here, Madrid fan and a Barcelona fan, a reject from both sides came to our team, and they have been playing a vital part in our campaign, which is quite ironical. Suarez, for the most part,
from Madrid.
Laurenti, Marcus Laurenti.
Oh yeah, man, I completely forgot. Oh yeah, out of position player.
So Suarez, for the most part, was running for the PCC, but then he got injured and he hasn't played a lot of games now. And Laurenti, on the other hand, has 10 plus goals and 10 plus assists. Only the second player in the La Liga, apart from I think Iago Aspas. So they have been a vital part. In the previous season, we were mostly playing combinations of 4-4-2. But for accommodating Suarez, Simeone and the assistant coach Nelson Vivas, they took the approach of 3-5-2. which led to more expansive side of Atletico, and we saw more attacking intent from the side, and the defensive side is always there because like whenever we score goals and have enough goals to defend, then we go back to a defensive structure and try to hold on to a lead for the 90 minutes.
Let's say you do what you always did against Liverpool. So I'm okay with it. I like that.
So I think where someone who has watched all the matches, I think they wouldn't really be confident after the first half of the season. After the first half of the season, we were actually on course to 100 points this week.
Correct. Because I remember the projection, right? It showed that you were on course for a 96 or a 98 point. I think even if Madrid and Barcelona win all their games, the difference would still be some 8 or 9 points.
So, but a lot of them were very close matches. We won a lot of the matches at the very final minutes. And so those were not accounted for those who didn't, just saw the final scores. So I think the turning point was when we started losing out our players. The first one would be our most influential on the right side, Trippier. He was unfairly banned for just telling his friend that I'm moving to Spain. And so that was there. Then we had a COVID outbreak in our squad due to our ex-Atletico player, Damiro. If I recall correctly, first it was Carrasco, then Hermoso.
Yannick Carrasco was tested positive first. I think it was in Feb, right? Jan and Feb, I think.
Right. So then we lost our right side Trippier. Then we also lost Hermoso, who was very influential in getting most of our attacking intent. Then we go on to lose Felix. We also lost Dembele and Herrera, to all turned COVID positive. And also in international duties, I think Suarez and Lucas Torreira were positive, and Felix also in the last international duty, he also got injured.
I think he came back with a niggle as well. Even after the international duty, he came back with a niggle.
Yeah, he lost. I think he didn't feature for 1 or 2 matches.
Yeah.
So yeah, we I think we have the thinnest of the top 3, the first team squad, and that really played a vital part why we lost so many points. And this.
Fair enough,
I think,
man.
Yeah,
I think you summed it up very nicely, saying that yes, they were bottling, but there were injuries as well, and it was a very unparalleled season for Atletico, what has happened so far. But moving from an unparalleled season, let me ask Rajdeep. Rajdeep, before we started recording this, I asked you very, casually. You have one leg in Champions League left. You have an eye at the trophy, and you've told last time as well, right? In the podcast with when we recorded against Chelsea, where you told clearly that probably this is our best chance to win Champions League. There is no Bayern Munich there. PSG are almost out. They would have to do. They have to do what Barcelona did to them in second leg, and PSG, like you rightly said, is not a second leg kind of a team. Man City look unassailable. So your only hurdle right now looks Chelsea, and suddenly the league race opens up for you. Right? You started competing in the league, but now you know that a victory tomorrow against Osasuna means you're back in the race. You will then control the race, and this is what Madrid have been doing for years, right? You control the title race. Everyone is always catching up, or Barcelona controls it. Everyone is a catch-up game. Now my question to you is, what do you actually want to do now? Do you want to win the La Liga and then focus little bit less on Chelsea game, or you think, I need the Champions League more than I need the La Liga, because La Liga I have not this year, then next year we'll again go and win it.
See, even if we win all 5 of the rest of the games in La Liga, we still have to wait to see Atletico's results. That Correct. They have to drop points, then and only then we are winning it. So I think it's my personal opinion that we should just concentrate on the Champions League, go full force against Man City, which is
Chelsea बाकी है, अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है.
I'm considering we are winning that tie.
Okay.
it will be very tough, but considering Mendy, Federico Valverde, and Ramos are coming back, and we have a fully fit Eden Hazard, I think we will give them a pretty good fight.
Hmm. So
And
in that sense, you're saying the Champions League is what your first priority is. So focus completely on it. Now this leaves
exactly,
me with
exactly.
a very interesting question. Okay, when I say interesting, it's because in my head I'm just thinking, Soumya, you know, there is nothing left for you anymore, right? You've got one trophy which was there. Now La Liga is there along with Madrid. I don't want to mention Sevilla as of now. I don't want to jinx their run, but okay, Sevilla. But now suddenly look, season looks a lot brighter than what it was in the starting part, because I remember till December, Jan, there was so much negativity around Ronald Koeman. Like, what is he doing? Why doesn't he play him? Antoine Griezmann is inconsistent. He does his job. Messi contract issue, then his contract got leaked. Controversies were just not ending. Of course, not to forget the Big Bang elections. I mean, the elections were much of more importance in Facebook group than what India is currently facing election in West Bengal. मतलब इंडिया का एग्जिट पोल भी कोई देखता नहीं है, बट बार्सिलोना इलेक्शंस का सबका एनालिसिस था. It became of that kind of a sort. Now when you think back and see, how do you rate your season? Are you very happy with where you are right now, thinking that we've got one trophy? Fine, transfer market didn't go as planned, but there's a window again coming up. We are still in the La Liga race. Bayern humiliation, PSG humiliation, Bayern humiliation. Okay, I'll not say one off because दो continuous साल हो गया ये. But over a period of time, are you happy with how the season has gone, or you still think that this is satisfactory? It's very, very average.
I think that the season has been pretty good with us because
Hmm.
when the previous season ended, when that 8-2 happened,
Hmm.
like the
You would
first thing
hate
that
to
I
remember,
post,
no? You would hate to remember it.
and that game, oh my God. So the first thing that I posted on my Facebook timeline was that if Barcelona even comes top four next season, that would be a pretty huge achievement. Because
Hmm.
let
Hmm.
us consider this, that previous season Barcelona had like finished second but had 82 points, which
Correct.
for a normal La Liga season is not good enough
Hmm.
to even finish in a second spot, right?
You at least
And
need 90 points, right? 87, 88 is what you require as an average.
yeah, and we had just 82 points, considering that we had Luis Suarez,
Hmm.
a proper number nine. We had veterans like Rakitic, Vidal, and all,
Hmm.
and even Ansu Fati was fit
Sorry to
for
interrupt.
the entire.
Sorry to interrupt, Soumya. Rajdeep, you cannot laugh on what he just said. Okay. I mean, veterans, your midfield is completely being dominated by veterans. So you should just not smile and wait. Of course, there's a difference in quality in what uh, I'm trying to address, but let him complete. Wait, I'll get to you.
Yeah, so the thing is that at least we had players who had experience. Like currently, Pedri and Moriba recently has been
Hmm.
performing better than Rakitic, obviously, what he
Hmm.
was performing previous season.
And
But
also, you signed Miralem Panic. I call him Panic because
yeah,
I don't know it was a panic buy. Why? I don't know,
yeah,
but it was a
it
clean panic buy.
certain transfers during that Bartomeu period
Hmm.
did not make sense whatsoever.
And I remember, okay, and I'll be sorry to cut you. And I remember I was talking to a Barcelona friend of mine. I was like, why on earth could you sell Arthur? He's a decent player. Okay, I'm not going to say he's going to be a world beater. Okay, that's too early for me to say. He's a decent enough player, man. You should kind of give him a run at the first team, see how it goes, because he's not that bad. He's like, no, dude, we are going to get this Miraram Panic from Juventus. I was like, where is he going to play? Like, probably Frankie de Jong will have to make way for him. I was like, you're kidding me. This is not happening. You have a young talent like Frankie de Jong. Why would you bench him for Miralam Panic? And he was like, no, you wait and watch how Miralam Panic would be. And I was like, no, dude, it's a panic buy. And it exactly turned out to be that way. God knows what Miralam Panic is up to now, because he doesn't feature regularly. His ambition of coming and becoming the Xavi or the next Iniesta in that Barcelona team is off. And suddenly, and I'm honestly very shocked to think when you say that you are pretty happy with the season, because if I was thinking from your perspective, right, it's a very below average season. I mean, you are a club of the stature who's so used to winning, and forget winning. You guys are known to win and win in style, right? You guys dominate the hell out of teams. But apart from Manchester United, if there was one team who's in a bigger turmoil, is Barcelona. There are millions and millions of issues there, from the club
Yeah.
president to the money to the transfers to Messi. There is no assurity in the club. In such a scenario, right? My personal opinion is, don't you think winning the La Liga would at least address some concerns of the fan, where you think that यार ये बोर्ड और ये क्लब पे भरोसा नहीं कर सकते, ये साला पैसा आ गया तो लोग घूम जाएंगे. That is the usual notion, right, with the club. So don't you think a winning La Liga would address some doubts of some section of fans who, who are at least worried about the club right now?
Yeah, I can understand about those fans that they would require a title this season itself, because for the second half of the season, Barcelona have been performing really well.
Correct.
But when I consider a success, I always have to look what investment the club has made over the past few seasons. Like, if you look properly, the rebuilding which has started this season should have started at least 3 seasons before. So there is a proper lacking behind.
Yeah, I remember you signing Paulinho and all. I was like, Paulinho, really?
Yeah,
Why?
and he actually performed well, and then we
Yeah.
sold him to buy Vidal.
Yeah, and I remember, who did you sign? You signed Kevin Prince Boateng also, right?
Yeah, we rejected Erling Haaland to get Kevin Prince Boateng.
That's okay. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's Kevin Prince Boateng. Kevin Prince Boateng and Alvaro Morata are two people I still don't understand how the hell have they played for some of the biggest clubs in world football. Alvaro Morata has literally duped big clubs for 200 odd million just in transfer. Because, and I remember we were discussing this in the Chelsea podcast, and the Chelsea fans were telling that, I still don't understand what Alvaro Morata does. But anyways, I'll not bring Alvaro Morata, and I'll ask Rajdeep. Rajdeep, a similar question to you. In the start of the season, right? Everyone ripped Zinedine Zidane. It was not even funny after a point of time. Everyone just ripped and said, Baldy has gone mad. What is he up to? He who must not be named has left. He's not signed a proper player. Of course, Florentino Perez said that he does not have the money to make big investments this year. You sold Hakimi. You got a lot of money. You didn't make any proper investments where you can rebuild the team, because it was still makeshift arrangements here or there. Eden Hazard was still nowhere to be seen, because only God knew what was happening with him. Came back injured, not fit. A season full of injuries. I mean, there was a point of time where you had to bring, like you always message me and say, we are going to sacrifice one youth player. You had to keep bringing in players from youth. It was not a season which went planned, but when you sit back and you think, you know what, I didn't have 13, 14 players regularly to play. I am in Champions League semi-final. I have a shot at the trophy, and I am in the race for La Liga. Zidane, for all the blame what he has taken throughout the season, has shown massive improvements in management itself. Because it is very difficult to manage a group of players like the midfield which you mentioned, Casemiro, Kroos, Modric, right? It is very difficult to make them play 30, 34 games continuously. Of course, they also had their bad games in between. It's not that they were consistent throughout the 33 games. Of course, they did have. Fede Valverde stepped up when there was time. He got injured. Ramos not being available. Varane not being available. I'm talking of big players who are not available. And I remember you told me also, Real Madrid have got 53, 54 injuries. And I don't know what Liverpool fans are giving excuse for. We had the most number of injuries and we're still in the race. Don't you think it is a statement by Zinedine Zidane to the board saying that I have done what is there in my capability, but if you don't invest in summer, I don't think this team can again push for a title.
See, about the injuries, I would like to tell you that we are now currently at 58, not 54 anymore,
Okay.
because after Lucas Vazquez got injured in the Liverpool
Yeah.
game,
Lucas
had-
Vazquez.
Danny Carvajal came back and he is again injured. Just after 60 minutes, he is again injured and is out for the season. And as you just mentioned, that Zidane should just tell Perez that he should invest in big signings. I think we are getting one Galactico, preferably the French Ninja Turtle, but it will probably another Brazilian favela boy, because God knows Perez's fascination with them. So, and in the last lap, thank God, most of the senior players are back. And finally, we have 5 senior players available for the defense. which we didn't the whole season.
Hmm.
So it's a good news. Like little bit good news, but it's still good.
Fair enough. Nava, when I sit back and I'm just putting a neutral hat in my head and I'm thinking, if I was Diego Simeone, I don't know what to tell my players to motivate them to start again, right? Because forget the points and the bottling. Now suddenly you are at a position where you want to restart everything over. And it's not one game. You have to do it each and every game now because rivals have sniffed a chance. They clearly know there's a chance. You have your injury concerns. You know that Felix is injured. Suarez is not hitting form. It's not gold what Suarez was. You know that if you just miss another opening or you give them another opening to these two, if these two get in the race, right, or if these two go up, then it's all over. So if you are a manager, how are you going to motivate a set of players who themselves would be thinking, यार 14 पॉइंट हमने ना दान दे दिया है, अभी वापस जाके लीड के लिए फाइट करना है. How? What do you think Simeone would be thinking to do now with the squad?
I think the most important part is everything is still in our hands unless we drop points. And I think one other important thing would be people are now kind of underestimating Atletico. Like mostly everyone is favoring like either Madrid or maybe Barcelona has. Like if you check any social media pages, and I think
I think even Atletico decided to underestimate he who must not be named, and then something else happened. So it's just being reversed either ways, man. I mean, I know what you're saying. I get it. Because
So I
you're
think,
right. I've seen a lot of people who say that, ho gaya title. Now these guys are not going to win again, etc., etc.
right. So I think Simeone or Atletico in general thrives when we have the dark horses tag and people underestimating us, like let's say Liverpool. Sorry to
I
bring
like
it
that
up.
dick. No, totally. I totally love it. Please bring it up.
So yeah, I mean the last match against Bilbao, even if it was a draw, we could have afforded to have another draw. But since we lost it now, we have to keep winning all the matches.
Correct.
And one more important thing is the players are returning. Felix and Suarez, they are fit to play for the next match against Elche. So I think Simeone will I feel in general when the chips are down, like just trust in Simeone and he'll figure a way out. So yeah.
Now, Soumya, I just have I don't know. It's not a very appropriate question to ask at this point of time, but I'll still go on and ask. Barcelona are scouting a lot of players in the world. When I say scouting, not youth players, but big players. Someone like a Gini Wijnaldum, and Memphis Depay. Two names whose names has been just run riot in the press right now. Their performances have also affected for their respective clubs. So for example, Gini Wijnaldum is not at his best for Liverpool right now because everyone is saying that he's got one eye on Barcelona now. He's looking for a move, right? Liverpool have not done great for themselves this year. It's been a very weird season in Premier League as well. Some random team called as Man City is 10 points ahead, and some random team called as United is second place, which in my life I would have never imagined. Whatever, right? At this point of time, your team needs reinforcements. You need replacements. But along with the replacements, there is one gentleman who I think is already bigger than the club. Okay, Lionel Messi. His form is going to be extremely crucial. Even yesterday, he hit the nail on the head first, and then your defense just let down. There was a massive collapse. It was just a collapse, and I use the word collapse after careful deliberation because he can score 10 goals in a game. Fine, 10. 50 गोल मारेगा 50 मिनट में. अगर तुम बाकी के 50 मिनट में 51 गोल खाओगे तो उसका 50 गोल का भी फायदा नहीं ना. So at that point of time, if you are Ronald Koeman, why are you still looking at Gini Wijnaldum? Don't you think you need to sign a better centre back? Because your defense is in shambles. I mean, if you have Langley as your defender, I am very happy that we have Harry Maguire. He's not that bad as much as he Clement Longley, and I'm like, no, not this guy, not this guy. So in that sense, right, don't you think your priority should be to sign a centre back ASAP? Of course, the window is not open now; it'll open up soon. But why Wijnaldum and Depay? I mean, there are other places where you need to plug in holes now.
The Wijnaldum transfer rumor is actually very old. Like currently, the Wijnaldum transfer rumors have nearly died out because at that moment, Koeman did not have Moriba, because Koeman's system requires a physical midfielder. As we all know that in the modern game of football, physical midfielders are very crucial, who can take those runs and have a physical presence in the midfield.
Yeah, we also have a physical midfielder by the name Fred. I don't know what he does, but he does something.
Yeah, like Madrid has got Fede Valverde. He is
Correct.
quite physical, right? So at that moment,
He's a bit rash. He's not physical. He's a bit rash.
and he's
That's,
extremely
that's because
agile.
that's because
Yeah.
he's just developing. He's very
Yeah,
young.
he's young. Yeah, so he's a bit rash though. But yeah, I understood what you were trying to say. You want someone who's very strong in the midfield, who can't be
Yeah,
just bullied. Who just can't push him. Like you don't want an Mbappe versus Ruben Diaz kind of a scenario where where just Ruben Diaz just pushes him off and Mbappe dives, and you're like, why nahi? You want someone very strong.
Yeah,
The Koeman system requires that. Fair.
yeah. So at that moment, Moriba was not there. Like Koeman even did not know that will Moriba even become a good player in the future. So that point of the time, if you look, Wijnaldum is a free transfer. The current state of our finances makes sense to get a physical midfielder who is just free of cost.
Correct.
So Wijnaldum made sense. And for Depay, like if you look at Barca season, the main problem we have in our forward line is that we don't have a focal point.
Correct.
Like there is no striker.
Yeah,
So
Lionel
many of-
Messi is no longer Lionel Messi of the old sort. His
Yeah,
age is catching up with him, and he's become more of a number 10 rather than a number
Exactly,
9
exactly.
or a right striker or left striker, whatever you want to classify him, or a forward. He's maturing. He's matured. What am I saying? Maturing. मतलब अब 30 साल की उम्र के बाद क्या mature होएगा? He's already matured. He's
Yeah.
like this computer, but he needs players where whom he can feed.
exactly. So there is no focal point. The players try to create chances, but there is no one arriving in the box who would finish those
Correct.
chances. So at that point, if you look at the options we have for free, because obviously the finances which the club has, there is Depay and there is Sergio Aguero. So
Yeah, please take Aguero.
but like even though Laporta is saying that he prefers Aguero, but you also have to see that Aguero is aging. He does not have a future. He does not have a resale value. Like if we get Depay, he is like what, 27, 26-year-old,
Correct.
right? He can still offer good number of years, and if he does not shine, we can resell him and get some money back.
That is exactly what you expected from Usman Dembele, no? But okay. I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but Dembele was bought for 140 million, and that would be a free transfer. It is.
Depay will be a free transfer, yeah. Depay will
Yeah.
be a free transfer because he's clearly not going to extend his contract with Lyon. He's mentioned it very
Exactly.
clearly that. And so,
And also his wage demands are very less. Like reports say that he only requires 6 million in wages, which is very less.
he only demanded high wages when he signed for United. That time, I don't know what kind of wage he had, but of course, he had very high wage, and then he used to be. I love Memphis. I'm a Netherlands fan, so I love Memphis Depay. I know what quality he
During
has.
his United days, he used to ride those luxury cars and stuff, and media always used to criticize him for that.
Welcome to Premier
Yeah.
League. Man. That's what people do half the time. But
Coutinho also is being linked to Everton recently.
who?
Coutinho. Philippe
Yeah,
Coutinho.
Coutinho has been linked with Everton, like all the Barcelona flop players.
But
Just
that's
for-
nice, you know. That'll be so nice, right? Philippe Coutinho, Liverpool cult hero, joining Everton
Joining, yeah, Everton.
and playing along James Rodriguez. Two of the possibly most overrated number 10 I have seen in world football. And no denying that they're good. I mean, I'll be very stupid to say that they're not good. But the hype what they came with and what they are today, right? They're just shadow of themselves. Talking about shadow of themselves, Rajdeep, I want to talk about this particular player, who personally I thought I was like, yaar, ये अकेला कितना करेगा? मतलब, how much is he going to push? The name is Karim Benzema. Okay, and I say shadow because I'm not saying he's bad. He is a shadow for defenders. You cannot catch Karim Benzema. We saw in the Chelsea game. Everyone was Everyone was marking everyone else, and I was like, why is no one looking at Karim Benzema? And then I realized, no, that's because Karim Benzema is behind everyone. He's already figured out his movement, and he's there. And what a goal he scored! I mean, I shouted when he scored the goal. I was like, yes, that is a goal of a striker. Now coming to Real Madrid, right? You signed Vinicius, and he was supposed to fill in a huge gap, has not filled. You signed Eden Hazard, right? Not worked out as of now. But the coming games of the season, you've got a fully fit Eden Hazard. Now, I just want to know from you, of all the players who you are going to get back from injury, you're going to get Ramos, you're going to get Valverde, your midfield is going to get better and better. If Madrid have to do a double, which is win the league as well as the Champions League, who would be two players who would play a very crucial role now? Because you need these two players to be at their absolute best. They cannot have a bad game anymore.
Okay, two players will be a bit tough, so I'm gonna name three. Sorry.
Okay.
I will say Karim Benzema, obviously, because he's the only one who scores currently, and he has about 40% of the goals in La
Correct.
Liga.
Correct.
And number two, I would say Sergio Ramos, the mentality monster, because when he's there, the team plays a notch better.
There is a calmness in that defense.
Exactly, like
there is peace
people
there.
can just move ahead, leaving him behind. Like
Yeah.
they know that he is behind, it will be covered.
Yeah.
And one more guy I will tell, Tony Cruz. He has been phenomenal this season.
I heard Victor Lindelof, but taking.
So anyway, Tony Cruz has been very, very good. As you did see in the match against Liverpool,
Yeah.
that's how he does week in, week out.
I have this weird explanation for Tony Cruz, and someone, I know a lot of people who try to watch the game and they ask me on opinions on what about Tony Cruz. I always link it to cricket. One batsman who I absolutely don't like in cricket is Rohit Sharma. Not because he's bad or anything. भाई वो एक एक्स्ट्रा सेकंड कैसे मिल जाता है एक शॉट मारने? इतना टाइम भगवान कैसे किसी को गिफ्ट कर सकता है? That is exactly what Tony Cruz is. When he's got the ball, I don't know how many eyes he's got. He's already measured the pitch. He knows the right amount of weight what is required for the pass, and whenever he passes right, there is this different swirl on the ball. And I'm like, you can't do that, man. That's illegal. I'm trying to do that in FIFA. वो भी skill move नहीं होता बराबर से. ये तो real match में बैठ के कर रहा है. And there is something special about Tony Cruz, and I don't know how Madrid will ever fill his gap when he gets old. Fede Valverde is not that. David Alaba is definitely not that. Only God knows what is going to happen with Real Madrid then. But till then, yeah, I agree with two of the players there. I'm pretty shocked you didn't take one name, which I thought is more important, is Thibaut Courtois. I really thought you would take his name because
Thibaut Courtois is consistently performing good. I don't need to take his name and just include him in the pile, because all the players who have been playing in the current few games all have been phenomenal and fantastic, because with this thin squad and some kids from the junior team, everyone has been fantastic. Like you say, Nacho,
no sacrifices.
no sacrifices currently. You say Nacho, you say Militao, and even Casemiro. Everyone, they are just giving the 110%.
Fair. So Nava, what these two people said, right? These two clubs they're anomaly in world football right now because they are one in ESL. So the NU is going to get a lot of money. I'm not going to talk much about Barcelona and ESL and Madrid in ESL, but anyways. But Nava, when you talk about these two clubs, right, they have enough resources to go out and do whatever the hell they want, right? It's like an elephant getting inside a sugarcane field, because then they will not know what to do. They'll just run riot. While in your case, God forbid, if you don't win the La Liga, right, it will be a season of more misses than hits. It will be a season which might finally see Diego Simeone lose his, I'll not say his managerial position, but he will lose his desire to start all over again. Because he'll be like, yaar, itna nazdeek aaya, and it just went kaput. In that overall context, right, how important is it for Atletico Madrid to at least fight till the last day? Yes, I know the situation is there in your hand, right? It's all going to be your play until unless you decide to screw it up. These two buggers don't have a chance. But you also know the fact that this is going to add extra pressure on the players, because back of the mind, they'll be like, we can't screw this up. We can't screw this up. It's just like, I hate to bring this up, but it's just like Steven Gerrard saying in the huddle, let's not bloody slip this. And he just slipped. He was the guy who slipped. Because sometimes pressure takes better of you. And during the crunch moments of the season, right? I have this very weird theory because I'm a United fan. I watched Sir Alex Ferguson so much. He always said this: the team who panics the last will always win the title. Because in the later half of it doesn't matter how you start the season or how you go till January. It matters after Feb, because that's when the games start coming really thick and fast. Your recovery time is low. So many competitions, your man management skill comes in picture. So many rotations you have to do with the squad. You cannot drop the intensity. There are many factors which come along that line, because international players will say, "मेरे को friendly खेलने जाना है, यूरो खेलना है, वर्ल्ड कप खेलना है, इधर जाना है, उधर जाना है." मोटिवेशन फैक्टर थोड़ा गिर जाता है. ये सब फैक्टर, if you add this up, right, I really think that Simeone is in a much harder position than just that 11-point bottling.
Yeah, you're right. The position we were in, we have only ourselves to blame. And yeah, there's immense pressure on Simeone, the coach, the management, and all the players as well, because we have let this happen. But like Simeone often uses this phrase called partido, which is basically match by match. And
one match at a time.
One match at a time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you like at this point, any reporter asks him like, how are you like setting up for Barcelona match? He'll just say one word, that is Elche. That is the next opponent. Okay. So that is how we prepare. Just focus on the next match, try to win that, and then keep focusing on the next one. I think regarding the his managerial position, he won't there won't be much pressure from the management side, but he himself must be facing a lot of pressure. Being in that position, he is on the verge. We have made this so much dramatic because
Correct.
We could have buried the league
by Feb end, March first week max.
Yeah. So there are a lot of factors which I mentioned earlier, but I think if we be focused and play our tactics correctly in all the remaining matches, just forget what happened till now and focus on what is ahead of us. We can still have this league. Yeah.
Fair enough. Rajdeep, I'm going to ask you this question, okay? And the reason why I'm going to ask you this question is your former manager is managing Sevilla. Okay, I don't want to rub salt on your wounds, but because clearly his tenure with Madrid was not one of the best, right? You lost what, 5-1, 6-1 to Barcelona, something like that, right? It was an away game, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it away
5-1?
Game?
It was 5-1. Yes, I don't remember the home away thing, but it was a 5-1 with Suarez hat trick, and it was very.
It was
painful.
away. I'm sure it was away. I think Soumya will know. Soumya, was it away, na?
Yeah. It was at Camp Nou.
Sorry, Camp Nou. Madrid away. I mean, then Solari came, right? Santiago Solari was the manager briefly,
Yes.
and then that also didn't work out. Whatever. I have this question for you, Rajdeep. Right? Out of nowhere, Sevilla has entered the race. Okay, Sevilla have done what I think Leicester did in their title-winning challenge, which is went calmly about their business. There was no shusha about them. They just did what was mattered, which was to keep winning again and again and again. And the run started in Feb, I think. Second half, basically, not even the first half of the season, but second half of the season. What exactly has happened to Sevilla now? Out of nowhere, how the hell did they enter the race?
I think I was just checking today how their run was going, because we face them next week, I think. Yeah. So.
But that's a big game for you. That's a big game.
Very
for you
big game.
Yeah.
That week will literally make or break the league, because Atletico and Barcelona
tomorrow is Osasuna. Correct. And then you face Chelsea. Then you face Sevilla. These guys play each other.
Yeah. And on the other side, while we are facing Sevilla, Atletico and Barcelona will also play. So
they're playing a day before, I think.
No, they will play day after.
Day
We
after,
are-
sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So
No, playing a day before.
Ha,
On
You
because
guys-
I remember
they're playing
reading the
on 9th.
fixture. I remember
you guys are
reading
playing
the-
on Saturday night or Sunday
Uh,
night.
I think it's on 8 and Madrid versus Sevilla it's on 9.
Yeah, that is on 9.
Because I remember reading, because I was telling you that I read that article and they said that Barcelona has blown up the chance to go top of the table and they face Atletico Madrid one day prior to when Madrid are going to face, etc., etc. So I remember that way. But fair. Go on.
So the point is, whichever two teams win the games,
Hmm.
they are literally on the like ruling part. The other
Ah.
two are just gone because
Correct.
the point difference goes bigger and the other two teams play. So
Hmm.
while Sevilla is there doing this, they lost against Borussia Dortmund, like the tie, and
Hmm.
then they lost against Barcelona.
Yeah.
So after that,
Hmm.
they played Elche. They played the derby against Betis, and they drew one game against Valladolid. And
Hmm.
then it was a straight win from game week 26.
Hmm.
And they have only drawn one game, and all the other games they have won.
Hmm.
So that's just. I am pretty much scared to face them right now because they're in such a good form.
Yeah, good run of team is always very difficult to
Exactly.
face because it's very difficult to break momentum. While these two, I think it will be a draw between these two because Diego Simeone will be like 1 point gained is 1.1 rather than giving away those 2 points, which he would be not happy to do. While for Barcelona, they don't have a choice. They'll have to go all guns out because they need that victory badly. And in that sense, Subhanallah defense, so bhai Bhagwan hi dekh lega uske liye. So only God knows. Last but not the least, before I wrap up the podcast today, guys, I just have this question to individually to each of you. Soumya, what is your most feared scenario in this year's La Liga race? What is one thing which you absolutely don't want? Because on one side, there is Real Madrid who might just do the double again, and then you will be like, यार वापस से हो गया. पहले ला डेसिमा बोल के चिल्लाते थे, फिर 3 साल चैंपियंस लीग जीत लिया, फिर लीग भी आ गया, हमारा सब कुछ खराब चल रहा है. ये लोग ने डबल भी कर लिया. एक साइड में वो है. Then on the other side, you might just look at Atletico and say, यार इनका तो सीजन हमसे भी खराब चल रहा था. 14 पॉइंट बॉटल किया था, ये लोग भी लीग जीत गए, हम नहीं जीत पाए. Out of the two evils, who would you rather see win the La Liga and you'll be like, that will hurt a little less? Of course, I know the answer, but I'm just asking you.
Between the two, I will choose Atletico, but there is a different reason for that. Like you
Hmm.
said, because Atletico had the worst season,
Hmm.
but that is only because of the second half of the season. If you
Correct.
consider the first half of the season, Barcelona had the worst start. Like for the
Fair.
first 10 games, we had
You
14
were
points.
what, 17 points away, right? In total, 17 points away from the leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So if we consider that scenario, it would not be called that Barcelona bottled, but it
Hmm.
would be a failed comeback.
Correct.
So
Fair.
I would prefer Atletico winning rather than Real Madrid.
Fair enough. Naba, in your situation, I know what is the worst you would fear, because the worst you would fear is you not winning it, because that will hurt you more than Madrid winning it, because you'll be like, यार, मतलब इतना नजदीक फिर चला गया ये. In that context, right? What I wanted to specifically ask you, but I'm not going to ask you the same question what I asked Soumya, कौन जीतेगा, किसको बुरा लगे. Of course not. That's a very cliched question for you because you are in the driver's seat, so there is no point in me asking you that. But I just want to ask you this question. When you signed Luis Suarez, you signed up for a guy who means business, who knows the league well, who's adapted. I'll not use even the word. मतलब क्या adapt 10-12 साल वहीं खेला, उसको league पता है, team पता है, playing for his fellow countrymen, and all that, not fellow countrymen, but in a sense similar kind of mentality kind of a person. If God forbid, if you bottle the league, right? God forbid, if it goes kaput, how are you thinking that this whole team will react to that situation? Because defeats like that does not form a good base to start next season. Because ये बार-बार ना दिमाग में चलता है, और मतलब no matter how professional you are, the managers can come out in the press conference and say, you know what, that was just Madrid being too good or Barcelona being too good. They won the league and we didn't take our chances. But those defeats will really pull down morale of some players. Someone like a Kyron Trippier, right? He might just think, you know what, I might just move back to England now because, well, I'm in my hate time of my career. Moving to England is better. One. That's one side. Luis Suarez will think that यार अभी यहाँ पे भी ट्राई कर लिया, यहाँ भी कुछ नहीं हो रहा, I might move back to my home country. That whole motivation to start all over again suddenly will go out. I'm not saying that Suarez will move to his home country. I mean, that's very hypothetical. It's not going to happen. He's an animal of a different breed where he just wants to keep winning. He is not going to leave Atletico so easily because he will want to win the La Liga once again. But you do get what I'm trying to say, right? It will just suck the soul out of the players. Then how do you regroup and restart all over again for the next season, or even for every bloody match, right? It just thinking about it itself is draining me. I'm like, यार वो क्या ही कर सकता है यार? They did everything what was in their hands.
Before I start, I think it's a hypothetical situation. Yeah.
So you would like to believe so, but fair. ठीक है.
Yeah. I'm generally scared like about the top star players like Oblak.
Correct.
Like,
Oblak. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about Oblak because I remember reading a rumor that PL clubs are circling around Jan Oblak. And I was like, why him? And then I read the background. I was like, makes sense.
So yeah, these top players have been performing really well over the years for us now, and I think there will be a time when they will decide like, no, up to we need to win trophies, and we can't just keep staying here. And maybe that's the reason players like Lucas Hernandez or Griezmann maybe left us. And we should not and must not let that happen again. And I think players.
I really hope what you said, players like Harry Kane listens to this and they think about big clubs. But sorry, I'm just canvassing here. But
so I think players like Suarez or Llorente, they have extra motivation to prove a point to their previous clubs that we made the right choices. And
that vindictiveness is so difficult, right, to control. That if I was Luis Suarez, I would want to look into Barcelona's presidents in the right inside the eye and say, "तूने बराबर decision नहीं लिया. I went there, I won the title."
Yeah, for that, now he has to go to jail right now.
हाँ ठीक है, I didn't want to go that level, but वो जेल में नहीं होता क्या? जाके मिलता है, यार तुमने गलत किया मेरे साथ, इसलिए तुम अंदर हो. Of course not, Luis Suarez is not going to do all that kind of thing. But what Nava said makes so much sense to me, right? I mean, if you are Luis Suarez, I mean, as much as a bad human being he is, he's a phenomenal top player. I mean, I'll be very stupid to say that he's not a great player. Okay, I'm not going to say that he's better than Lewandowski, but yeah, anyways. But it will be very stupid of Luis Suarez to just quit Atletico Madrid after 1 year thinking that yeah, league nahi jeeta. I don't think Luis Suarez is of that type where he's going to take an escape. It is absolutely not happening. In fact, I think, God forbid, if the hypothetical situation does not happen, right? And if Atletico Madrid don't win the title, you can expect a much stronger Atletico Madrid next year because he will come all cylinders firing, and that's not a very pretty sight. But I get what you're trying to say, Naba. Rajdeep, your case is very weird, man. Just like you, it is very weird. And the reason why I say very weird is because you are spoiled for choices. Like you rightly said, right? Your priority is winning the Champions League, etc., etc. So on and so forth. I completely get what you're trying to say. But my big question to you is, you win both. Hypothetically, assume you do the double. ठीक है, Ninja Turtle भी तुम्हारे पास आ गया, चलो वो भी मैं मान लेता हूँ. Then there comes a bigger question for you in the sense that what next for Real Madrid? Because it's not the league anymore. It's not the Champions League anymore. This win, for example, if you win this year's La Liga, right, you are going to set out a statement in world football that, boss, we are here to win and we will win in style. Because over the years, it's always been said that that great Barcelona team is called as a team of the century because of whatever they have, the sextuple, that midget guy scoring a goal at Wembley, etc., etc. All the sort of hurting stuff, which I don't want to remember again and again. But this victory will set out a statement in world football saying that these guys are, there is a reason why they are called as kings of Europe. That Real Madrid are called as the kings of Europe. Forget the Champions League number of titles. I mean, that's one part. But you are going to set out a statement very strong in world football, which is going to be very difficult to replicate. Is that what Zinedine Zidane is looking for now, or is it more of the sort like, भाई तुम just league जीतो बाकी का social media में fans ही hype कर दो?
See, now the situation, like at one point we had to play 4 guys from the academy, and then Vinicius and Rodrigo and Mariano, because we didn't have any of the
Oh,
starters.
yeah, that was your front three, right? Oh, yes, I
Yeah,
remember.
Vinicius, Mariano, and Rodrigo. That was our front three.
Because Wonder Kid Asensio wasn't performing.
No, he was also like missing a game because of like injury or rest. I don't remember. And then we had 4 kids from the academy. Yeah, Antonio Blanco, Victor Chust, then we had Sergio Arribas, and then we had Miguel Gutierrez. So from there, we are now in the final lap of La Liga with just 2 or 3 points behind the leaders. We might just edge past them somehow or not. And we are currently in the second leg of semi-finals, Champions League, and we are still alive. I would say this is the biggest achievement of this season. I never would have thought that we would probably go past Atlanta or Liverpool.
Correct. Yeah,
Then the
even
number of
Atlanta game looked so difficult, and then
Yeah,
you
because
just shoot them away.
it was 88th minute. The game is 0-0. I'm like, the game's gone. I'm gonna go to sleep. And then Farlan Mandi scored a screamer.
Correct.
That was the changing part, which started in mid-February, and then we have gone
10th,
pretty
12th,
good.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and we have gotten pretty good. And now, hypothetically, we are winning both the league and the Champions League, and we get Mbappe. Now we would have to make a team like with proper squad depth, like getting back Ceballos, Odegaard, and then probably bringing.
They're not that great. You can give them to Arsenal.
Nah, not so easily. But I like how you're asking for it, and maybe
They'll
just
only give to Arsenal.
Yeah. Or one player you should definitely bring back is Sergio Regulon. Not Spurs are a very small club.
No, like Ceballos is coming
I'll
back.
be so happy if Regulon goes back to Madrid. I'll be like, हाँ भाई एक tension खत्म.
No,
Just so good.
Ceballos is coming back. It is confirmed that he will not continue there, and Odegaard might come back because he was just there because lack of game time.
Correct.
And I want to now just strip off Marcelo. Like, you have been a great servant. You have been a phenomenal player. Just go enjoy in Italy with your friend. Like, wine पियो, मजे करो, बीच में जाओ, घूमो. यहाँ पे
कभी कभार टाइम मिला तो फुटबॉल भी खेल लो.
Exactly. Just like we did to one particular golfer, just like we shipped him back, we should just ship Marcelo.
Or just like how you did to a guy who kept your goalpost safe for years, and then you said, ठीक है, it's okay.
No, it was like bringing on a new model. Like,
समझ गया मैं.
You're good.
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into discussion of how you treat players who are crossing the age of 34, because I can give you countless examples, and every example you will say a different model. Did you do the same with a guy? Did you do the same with a guy who was from an Atletico, youth system? Suddenly, Atletico's youth system had to be closed, and you signed him, and then he became the greatest goal scorer of your club. And then you said, "Okay, Tata, bye bye, Schalke jao."
He was 35 when he left, and we had Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, I can just play Raul and let Cristiano Ronaldo sit on the bench, but then the whole world would bash the manager, the team, the president, everyone. And I don't really think it would be like that.
Yeah, and then what happened to the guy who replaced Raul, and what happened to him then?
Like, he gave long 9 seasons, won us 4 Champions Leagues.
One against Atletico only, but ठीक है.
Like,
You don't have to do this to
And
me.
even the guy who replaced the Casillas too. Like
Diego Lopez.
Navas was
Lopez was.
Lopez was a stopgap arrangement.
So see, Casillas was supposed to be the second keeper after Lopez became the primary. And
Because
Casillas
Jose Mourinho and his man management skills.
No, Jose Mourinho left.
You're talking about the season after, huh?
Yeah, season after when Casillas won the Champions League, it was Ancelotti. So we got Navas, we shipped off Lopez. We have Navas.
I think to Milan, no? AC Milan or something. Lopez went to AC Milan.
No, he went to some club in La Liga only. I don't remember.
Okay. Hmm.
So we got Navas, who was like the best keeper from the World Cup, and we also got James Rodriguez. So it's either Casillas being the second choice, like he's already 34. He has nothing more to give. He can be the second choice. Play in the
I
cup.
like how you said. I like how you said he has nothing more to give. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't already the first choice anymore. He didn't play in the leagues. He only played in the cup games.
You know, Rajdeep, I
We
like
can
what
just
you're
continue.
saying. I like what you're saying, and possibly you gave me a perfect conclusion to end for this podcast also. And I'll tell you what. Okay, you're right. You did what was supposed to be done because that's business. That's how
Exactly,
business.
exactly.
That's how businesses are run, and that's exactly why you are playing in a league where you're only two people. That's absolutely why you are there because it's business. And like you said, there are countless examples. I don't even want to consider the guy who Chelsea beat. You know, the team which Chelsea beat, and you are playing them, Porto and Pepe. And I was like, I don't think Pepe is ever going to leave Real Madrid because he's going to be their legend.
Pepe was also the same reason. Rafael Varane was
Everything is the same reason, man. That's the same reason what you just said to Marcelo. The same reason.
Marcelo is, I'm gonna use this
Wash.
word. He's shit. He's shit. He can't defend. He could never defend. But we never thought about that because Ronaldo scores goals, Marcelo assists. We can just outscore the opponent. Now we can't. We take one goal, we take two goals, we shut the shop, and it's all. Now Marcelo just stands in the center line after losing the ball, and you see the right winger from the opponent team come running.
Christian Pulisic.
There's literally no one. There, Sergio Ramos has one striker to cover, and there's the right winger. कितने को लेगा? He has literally done two people's job all these years when Marcelo just loitering around in halfway line.
Correct.
But it's okay. We outscored the opponents. Now we can't. We have to get a new someone. Either Marcelo has to understand that his game has to improve. Which
Yeah.
at 33 he probably can't improve anymore.
Mhm.
And or just understand that his time is over. He goes back to second fiddle, safe and square, or you just be with your friend, take nice selfies. Instagram is good, life is good, and we get back Sergio Regulon, who might be the second choice here after Mendy.
But he will keep Ferland Mendy pushing for his spot because if Mendy starts having a couple of bad games,
Exactly.
Regulon would say, you know what, I still have a chance to get into the line.
Like if Mendy doesn't see a competition because Marcelo doesn't offer anything now. So if Mendy doesn't see a competition, he will get lax.
I really wonder, okay, Rajdeep, I really wonder, you know, what will this cycle is going to continue. If let's say tomorrow you have a kid and who is going to support Madrid, he will say at one point of time that, मतलब क्या है यार, Ferland Mendy ये सब फालतू left back है, कोई और left back आना चाहिए. It's a cycle which will continue.
It doesn't have to be my child. You're thinking too much in future. Literally, few game weeks back, Mendy is pretty shaky in attack. He doesn't have the proper attacking output.
He's young. He's too young.
Yes, he is 23 or 24. Already people are saying that get him out, bring back Regulon because he offers more in attack.
What happens then? Regulon also does the same thing. नया left back खरीदो क्या?
No. Regulon offers more in attack, but
Fair.
he offers pretty much zero in defense. So it's Marcelo 2.0.
Irony how he played for Jose Mourinho and Marcelo. My God.
Exactly. So it's pretty much.
But fair enough, Rajdeep. I know. I don't want to touch your emotional bone now because then you'll have to go to Kalighat and do all the stuff which you regularly do before big games. But
It's just Zidane Juju, man. It's Zidane Juju.
Yeah, totally.
Atletico knows, Barcelona knows, all the world knows.
And he who must not be named also knows it well. He also did a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
But guys, one thing which I'm very sure and I'm very happy to discuss this is because after a long time, I am going to see a title race. Because in Premier League, usually there is no race. Either it's Man City or Liverpool. Other teams are still catching up. Okay, there's no race which usually happens. Of course, it's happened, and last year it was City and Liverpool. Even though the difference was big, it was a good race. But this year there is no race. Ligue 1, there is a race, but thanks to less telecast of Ligue 1, a lot of people don't even know what's happening there. I don't want to talk about a league where they can just do what they want, and the other people will say it's a 50+1 rule and what not, and they will justify it. But before I end the podcast, okay, I'm going to ask you guys one last question, which is possibly not related to your top four, but I'll ask you this: what Bayern Munich did, okay, signing Julian Nagelsmann, and Julian Nagelsmann has been scouted by the who's who of the club. One point of time, he was linked to Barcelona job along with of course Pochettino was never going to take up Barcelona job because of his lineage of managing a rival of Barcelona, which is Espanyol. He was never going to take it. He said it very clearly up front. Julian Nagelsmann was linked to both Madrid and Barcelona. Eric Ten Hag was linked to both Madrid and Barcelona. Both have signed long-term contracts. When I say long-term contract, Julian Nagelsmann just crossed town. Okay, and Bundesliga also crossed town. Leipzig also crossed out, hired Jesse Marsch, etc., etc. But I have this question for you, and I'll start with Soumya. What Bayern Munich did, would you call it business or would you call it breach of ethics? And I'm not going to say which is right, which is wrong, but I'm just asking you. What do you think it is? Is breach of trust of people or the other club, or is it just too much power they have and they can do what the hell they want to do?
For me, it is not breach, because if you are considering that a breach, what Dortmund did to Gladbach was far worse.
You're talking about the Royce transfer.
Not Royce. I'm talking about the manager.
Well.
Oh, manager.
I'm
Okay,
talking about the
fair.
manager.
Okay, fair.
Also, last season,
Suddenly, Gladbach starts losing matches as soon as
Exactly.
that manager's.
Correct. Well, Marco Rose, no?
yeah.
Marco Rose. So I think that it is pure business. Every club has to survive at the end of the day. They don't have financial backings from oil-rich nations like certain two clubs. So they have to survive.
I like the dick. Please keep it up.
So they have to survive, and currently there are very few public-owned clubs which are on those levels. Like there is Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. I don't think there is any other public-owned club which is there at the top anymore. So for them to survive, they have to continuously win titles. And to win titles, they have to do things like that.
Fair enough. Naba, do you agree with what Soumya says? Because I know a lot of fans who said that what kind of sorcery is this? They've just gone. They've just hired the most promising manager in the league. It's just like saying that, in the middle of a season, Atletico Madrid go and sign Rafael Varane from Man City, from Real Madrid. Man City, I'm saying, what is wrong with me? Rafael Varane has just signed for Atletico Madrid from Real Madrid. Real Madrid, let's say, are a challenging team. It just kills the competition, right? That's what Bayern Munich are doing typically. They approach and they show interest in the players. Players know that, Bayern Munich is interested. They run down the contract with their employer. Free mein kharid lete. And they have done countless examples, right? I don't even want to mention certain names because a lot of people will be like Lewandowski ke saath bhi ye kiya hai. Dayot Upamecano, who was the most promising prospect, usko bhi sign kar liya. मतलब फिर एक काम करो ना, पूरा लीग तुम अपने आप ही खेलो. जरूरत क्या बाकी 19 टीम का? In that context, they just went out and signed one guy who was really turning up the heat for Bayern Munich because, Julian Nagelsmann is Julian Nagelsmann. He is the blue-eyed boy in world football right now. Almost everyone wants Julian Nagelsmann to manage the club, and Bayern have just done that. They just got it. So, do you think that's right ethically, or do you think, like what Soumya said, right? Bhai, business hai. Survive karne ke liye they just did what they had to.
I would just say it literally happened in La Liga when our top player went to Barcelona, named Antoine Griezmann.
No, and I don't agree to it. I absolutely don't agree to that.
At least Barcelona paid.
Perfect. One, you got a major chunk of money, and you knew that guy was too good to be kept at your club. You knew it very, very clearly. Right? You knew that तुमने Sociedad से 17-18 million में you signed a gem. When you know that the entire world wanted Antoine Griezmann, United came, Arsenal came, Chelsea came looking interested. But none of them were convinced of paying him 20 odd million. They're like, नहीं भाई ये 20-25 million वाला player नहीं है. You cashed on him.
I agree. We got the 125 million, but like there's a big controversy. Like his release cost was actually 200 million.
Correct.
And
he ran down that period of time and then the amount got half.
Before it became 125, he already had an agreement with Barcelona management. it all happened, and it puts a like really bad impression of Antoine
Wrong
Griezmann.
question to you, man. Very wrong question to you because तुम्हारे साथ तो अन्याय हो गया है.
But yeah, I mean, it's happening in La Liga as well. But yeah, I mean, he rightly mentioned it's not just Bayern Munich. Borussia Dortmund also did the same. They also got top players from Gladbach. I think Thorgan Hazard. If I'm wrong.
Marco Reus is from Gladbach. People forget that.
Yes, also Julian Brandt as well, I guess.
Julian
They
Brandt as
got
well, yeah.
them
Right.
last season.
Right.
Yeah.
So in
They
that,
were
some of
interested
those
to
we need-
sign Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen, but they couldn't convince him for a deal. 30 odd million ka deal that went off at the last minute.
So it doesn't strike us that much because the viewership of that league is not that compared to, let's say, Premier League or La Liga. If it was, then I think yeah, this would have been a very bigger debate till date.
Fair enough. Rajdeep, I should not talk about anyay and power and pressure to you because there is a real estate मतलब वो रियल एस्टेट एजेंट बोलूं, ब्रोकर बोलूं या माफिया बोलूं या कार्टेल बोलूं, मेरे को उस आदमी के बारे में ना कोई एडजेक्टिव नहीं मिलता क्योंकि
Mafia is good. Mafia is good.
ठीक है ज्यादा हो गया but whatever because
Okay,
and the reason why I tell you why I honestly didn't like what Bayern did. Of course, what they did is right. It's right in terms of business. Being a professional myself, I know that if I was there as a business head, I would do that decision because, like Soumya said, मेरे को एक अच्छा player या talent दिखा who's going to add value to me. Why am I not going to do it? Of course, I want to kill my competition because I want to be the sole provider here. But it does not work that way in sports, right? Sports is always about the underdog challenging for the title, the underdog making the favorite run for the money. Even though United, I'm saying, even though Real Madrid beat Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final, Real Madrid were the underdogs for a certain amount of time until Ronaldo scored. That's what made the sport even more better, right? That's the joy when an underdog beats the top guy and then gets like there's a new sheriff in the town kind of a feeling. यहाँ तो शेरिफ का कुत्ता भी नहीं जी सकता, खत्म ही कर दिया ना लीग तो, मतलब अच्छा प्लेयर दिखा आ गया इधर. And there are countless examples. How many players have they signed like that, right? So, do you agree with what Soumya Nabha said that हाँ भाई मतलब मैं होता शायद मैं भी यही करता. And you're also saying something.
See, we have done this plenty of times, like with Asensio, with Isco,
Luis
Keylor
Figo.
Navas.
Should I really mention?
Nah, Luis
signed
Figo,
him.
Luis
You
Figo
signed a
was
rival.
he was like a proper rival who was the team was equal stature. So I am not counting
Not
him.
only rival, he was the captain of the rival.
Exactly. That was the ego of he who must not be named. Right? I'll call him he who must not be named 1 and the other guy is 2.0. The sheer ego.
You can just call him Godfather and we will be clear.
No, I'll not call him Mario Puzo led Godfather. No. I honestly don't care about the gentleman, but you do know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Sheer ego, right? मतलब मैं president बना तो भाई वो player मैं sign करूंगा, ठीक है? मतलब it's just like some other prime minister saying कि अच्छे दिन आएंगे, job आएंगे, पैसा आएगा, कुछ नहीं आया. But ये player जरूर आया. That's exactly
But at least Figo आया था.
आया था, of course.
अच्छे
Figo
दिन
आया था.
But
अच्छे दिन ठीक है सब में.
from the lower clubs, we got many players, but we paid for them. That's my point. You see, Mario got.
It's not the question of money, no? Here is it the question of money?
See, if you are paying a good amount, you are not letting them run down their contracts. The team is receiving the money so that they can replenish the missing spot. It's good, but you take away Lewandowski.
Which means you did unfair business with United. You only paid 80 odd million for Ronaldo, man. You should have paid 300, 400 million.
I mean, you guys don't have a release clause. It's not my fault.
We didn't know the concept of release clause back in
Exactly.
Premier League then.
See, England is always far behind.
That even Barcelona will also not know the release clause until one team decided to pay it. They're like, oh, ये भी हो गया दोस्तों.
Nah, in La Liga actually release clauses are compulsory.
Yeah.
मतलब release clause are compulsory, but Soumya, did you even in your wildest dreams imagine that कोई club आके 222 million देगा बोलेगा player चाहिए? मतलब
In a way, that ruined football forever.
Of course.
Yeah.
So is the player. I mean, yeah, it just made. I don't know where we are going, but yeah, fair enough. Rajdeep, sorry.
Yeah. So you are doing this, I wouldn't say it's ethics, because it's a business as well. So
Hmm.
it's a good thing. But you can't just hide under the 50+1 rule कि भाई जो कर रहा है सभी मिलके decision लिया है. You
Hmm.
just don't do that, and
Hmm.
you one
That is the
one hand,
most funniest rule I've ever heard of, 50+1 rule. When I
see,
actually researched and read, I was like, कौन सा 50+1? मतलब
see
जिसके पास पैसा है वो तो
on
डिसाइड कर ही रहा है ना यार.
on one side you are saving football by supposedly not participating in the funny little league which is going on, and on the other side you are just killing your competition by getting their best players and now their best coach apparently.
Hmm.
You can't do that at the same time.
Yeah, at least
It's
I
like,
respect Chelsea for this. When the United
yeah,
fan, we shouted at Chelsea saying you're destroying football because you, with your oil money, back then Roman Abramovich had Gazprom. Now he doesn't own Gazprom because it's given to Russian government. He just destroyed football. According to me, in 2002-3, I was like, भाई ये 100 million players पे कैसा खर्च कर सकता है? मतलब not that United couldn't do, but that was unheard of. But Chelsea was the first club to pull off from ESL saying that भाई नहीं होएगा. So Chelsea has just traveled a lot from a historyless club to a decent enough football club.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
respect.
See, ESL, the current rules and everything,
Hmm.
it was bound to be a failure
I thought the
because
name changed. It was called as PSL, no?
okay. So ESL is the future, like rebranding version or something. It will come up, like in maybe 5 years or 7 years.
Alcid, did you quit your MBA and are you working for PR for Florentino Perez? I don't know how the hell did you just say that ESL is the future, but okay.
ESL
No,
would
I
be the
won't say
future.
ESL is the future for the future of football, but ESL is an eventual reality that will happen.
It's a
One day or the
reality.
other.
It is a matter of time. You're right that way.
Everyone realizes that because you have to play it like that, but not
Yeah.
in a
And Perez is
not
a
in a
visionary.
system, not in a system that see, Real Madrid presidents are always visionaries. Santiago Bernabeu literally made the European Cup a possibility.
Hmm.
Now you have three trophies. Barcelona has 5. I'm not gonna shame the other guy, but
You're just making you feel bad. How many do you have, Rajdeep? Sorry, I just wanted to listen. How many do
I
you?
am gonna put up both my hands, and I am still a bit short now.
Hmm.
So we take the step, everyone follows, and I am not saying it in a bragging way because
I understand.
no one wants to break away.
Correct. Understand.
No one
Agree.
wants to break away.
Completely agree.
So
I think why both these clubs are supporting, or both the fans are supporting, is both the clubs are in under huge debts,
Yeah.
and
see,
this
our
like,
debt is of a 30-year time limit. We
Hmm.
took that for the stadium, and we can just pay back 20 million a year, which is less than what we.
मतलब नवा तो समझ रहा है ना, मतलब एक रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है, ठीक है,
हाँ,
सॉरी
तो-
एजेंट बोल रहा हूँ मैं, रियल एस्टेट माफिया है. जगह उसका मॉर्गेज रेट वो डिसाइड करेगा बैंक से, लोन रेट भी वो डिसाइड करेगा, पैसा कब देना वो भी वो डिसाइड करेगा, जनरेट भी वो खुद करेगा. तो मतलब आई डोंट नो व्हाई इज इट कॉल्ड एज रियल मैड्रिड, इट शुड बी पेरेज और व्हाटएवर. बट ठीक है, आई डू, आई मीन जोक्स अपार्ट, आई मीन व्हाट यू राइटली सेड, राजदीप. यस, for all the people who actually are going to view this podcast, right? I purposely asked this Bayern Munich question to 3 of you because in a league like La Liga, it is very difficult to survive because unlike Premier League, there is not a massive influx of money. यहाँ ऐसा limited ही है. And La Liga has got a very bullshit rule of dividing money amongst teams in terms of viewership. It's absolutely crazy because at least in Premier League, when you play the big team, there is equal amount of money being distributed, etc., etc. Basis the league finishing, whatever amount of coefficients you get the money. But in La Liga, the money is not equal. There are clubs. I remember when Malaga used to play, they had very limited budget. So whatever money they had, of course, now though things have changed. Engineer Manuel Pellegrini is no longer there, and they had that great season. Valencia winning La Liga, so on and so forth. There were beautiful examples in La Liga where there is an outlier which is always won, apart from the two big races. And the reason why I particularly ask this question is because at least in your league, there is an outlier chance to survive. Premier League doesn't give you that chance. I mean, they kill you. I mean, that's how brutal the league is. And Premier League has always done what Bayern Munich are doing. If they find something promising, they've just fired it. And Premier League never hid behind the 50+1 rule. Premier League said, पैसा है, उसका जरूरत है, I am the need provider. We signed, for example, Manchester United signed Juan Mata. Of course, Juan Mata was not wanted by Chelsea back then. They signed it. Okay. Don't be surprised if Manchester United sign Harry Kane for 200 million in the next window, and people will think, "यार ये तो unfair हो गया, competition kill करा." Of course,
But
United
you guys
competition
are
में
paying. You guys are paying the 200 million Tottenham. They can
Yeah.
buy. They can buy 5 or 10 other players with that money.
They can
Yeah,
go and
and,
rebuy Eden Hazard. They can go and buy Eden Hazard for all the matter. They can go and buy
Actually-
Mbappe 200 million.
Exactly. They can
Okay,
do
there
that.
is a level, and Premier League never hid behind the fact that हमारा 50+1 रूल भाई हमारे यहाँ 50+1 कुछ नहीं है हमारे यहाँ जिसके पास पैसा है उसका चलता है इधर सिंपल है
Exactly.
so for example when Fabian Delph signed from Aston Villa why Fabian Delph man Samir Nasri Emmanuel Adebayor there was a straight swap between two teams in Premier League transfers between teams in Premier League is very common coaches between अभी मतलब Jose Mourinho of all people he left immediate rivals के लिए गया है ना Chelsea United Spurs. I mean, not Chelsea United, not immediate rivals, but Chelsea and Spurs. That's like an irony, man. That's like managing Barca Madrid, and he's got no shame in accepting that. हाँ भाई मेरे को जहाँ मौका मिला मैं जाता हूँ मेरे को कोई problem नहीं है. I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched his press conference when he managed Spurs. The second press conference when I think the journalist from Sun asked him that once upon a time you said that you will never manage Spurs even if you're jobless you will never manage Spurs. He said that my outlook changed as soon as I went to Real Madrid, not because how the league is, because I saw a different world there when I came back to Premier League. And whichever club I managed, that club's pajama I wear and I sleep. Because I understood that, like, this is what life is, and this is how modern football is. That's exactly how it is going to be, but I'll not keep you guys much holding. I think we've had a fabulous discussion, right from La Liga to Bayern Munich to Luis Suarez to Vinicius to Kaligat and sacrifice and everything. I mean, it's been fun time discussing football with you. Thank you, Nabha. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you, Rajdeep.
Thank you so much for having us.
No problem, man. I don't know who's going to win La Liga. I honestly want Sevilla to win it out of nowhere. Because if Sevilla wins it,
75 years they have
forget
not
75 years. Forget 75 years. If Sevilla win it, all three clubs, like all three of you, you would just be in disgust. Okay, you will be in disgust because मतलब यार तुम बोलोगे आजू बाजू में भी नहीं था यार वो लोग तो पीछे से आए
Technically, Rajdeep should be more criticized over here because he was laughing at Rakitic a few minutes ago. Rakitic is leading.
I was laughing more at Vidal being called a veteran, good veteran player.
Yeah, because he had a good match against Liverpool. If he was not subbed off, maybe
anyone can have a good match against Liverpool, man.
No,
What Liverpool
Good for the
has.
league. I think overall.
Federico Valverde playing at right back had a good match against Liverpool.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what I'm
really-
going to tell you. Having said all of that, United are going to face Liverpool on Sunday. I am not very confident because we are going to. I think we are going to do what Atletico Madrid did. We are going to park the bus and God save Manchester United. But I really, really hope that your top four race gets a little bit more nasty. I really think all of you guys should draw and then Sevilla win it. It will be one of those things where you three people will be like, भाई ये मेरे से सहन नहीं हो रहा. इससे अच्छा तो मैं कुछ और ही कर लूं. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot once again. Like I said, right, I just hope for the best, which is Sevilla. But Nabha, I am extremely sorry to keep calling you that. You bottled 11-point lead, but that's a fact. I really couldn't run away from it. And Rajdeep, you don't laugh much. There's Chelsea remaining. Soumya, you can laugh because there's nothing left. There's nothing else left. मतलब और कोई बेइज्जती बचा नहीं है. मतलब Bayern हो गया, PSG हो गया.
everything. He has faced everything.
I don't laugh. I can laugh anything because I'm in Europa. So for me, anything now is upgrade. I mean, yeah. Just before I let you guys go, I just want to make a humble request to people who are watching this. Times are tough. It's not that we don't like going out. Yes, of course we like going out. We like to meet up friends. We like to go out. We like to party. We like to sit and drink. We all like to watch a good game of football, so on and so forth. But stay home, stay safe, take care of the family. I know situation is not good. 90 minutes of football will bring you so much happiness of a week's toil. Keep yourself fit mentally, physically. It's very important that because if you stay mentally and physically fit, I think half the job is done. If everyone does that individually, we'll be a far better place. And last but not the least, follow social distancing and all the protocols related to COVID. And again, I would just like to remind you that it's a long war which we are facing with the disease, and we all are football fans. We don't know to give up. That's not what the sport has taught us, right? I mean, the sport has always taught us to keep fighting even when the odds are not there. And I really hope that this pandemic ends soon. And I don't want to sit and chat with people on YouTube. I rather meet them and have a good football conversation. And I really hope the world heals quickly. And it's a collective fight. If we all fight together, we will win it. So once again, guys, you guys also stay safe, stay home. Don't go out. I know there are elections in your state, but whatever happens, that's okay. Fine, no digs, no digs, no digs. I saw the exit poll results, but let's see what happens at the end of the day. But guys, stay safe, stay home. All right. Thanks a lot once again, guys. Have fun. Bye bye.